basically like this session is kept, okay, to understand, okay, what do you mean by like blockchain, okay, then cryptocurrency, okay, at the same time like the anti-liquidation protocol Shaktiio, okay, the firm, okay, which we have set up, okay, the purpose behind setting up this firm, then anti-liquidation protocol, okay, what are the risks involved in this cryptocurrency, okay, and what are different cryptocurrencies available in the market, okay, and how our protocol, okay, will work, okay.
Right.
So for to give this session, to present this session, okay, I would like to like introduce Balaji, okay. So
Hi.
like Balaji has, yeah, hi, Balaji has uh, more than 15 years experience, okay. He is like what we can say, he's a solution architect, okay, like a core developer, what we can say, he has experience, okay, like in blockchain technology. He's a blockchain developer, okay, working in blockchain, okay, from last what we can say, like from 1 year in as a blockchain developer. Also he's trading in cryptocurrencies, okay, from last 5 years. So vast experience like in cryptocurrency, blockchain development, and working as a solution architect. So I think Balaji, we are good to go with the session. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kiran. So the basic idea of this session and how why this session is designed, let me quickly introduce, right, myself. And okay, that's good thing that Kiran sir has introduced already. But the other things like why we designed this session and whom this session is designed for, right? So it is a basic, like if you are from a technical background, we are good. If you are not, then you will go with the basic idea, what blockchain is and what we are trying to do, like what problem we are trying to solve in this ecosystem, right? So overall, we will come to know what is blockchain, what is cryptocurrency, and what is the purpose of Shaktiio protocol. These three things we want to focus on today, and let me walk you everyone through the agenda of today, right? So that's the overview, and the agenda is what is Bitcoin, what is Ethereum, and what is the Shaktiio protocol. We'll just introduce the Shaktiio protocol today. We may not be able to go into that detail because we want to cover the basics, right? So mostly blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and what are the differences, right? If you want to go trade it, or if you want to go buy it, invest, which of these are important, and what are their pros and cons, we'll discuss about it, right? Okay, so first thing first, we need to understand is what is blockchain. Because if we understand blockchain, then only you can understand how you can trust, right? So how you can trust the cryptocurrency. That's what we need to understand, the blockchain, how this technology is secure so that your investments are safe and you can trust the overall ecosystem, right? So let's get started with the blockchain first. So blockchain is yet another technology, right? And it permits the transactions to be stored into the blocks. That's it, right? So it is the technology which stores the data, mostly the transactional data, right? So whatever the transactions happens, those are stored in a block and recorded cryptographically on chain, on a blocks in a chronological order. So the time matters, right? So there is no modification, or there is no going back to the blockchain and modifying something, right? So whatever you want to do, it creates another block, and that is cryptographically secured. We'll come to what is cryptography and how it is secured, right? So, and how it is safe, though it is a public, right? So it is publicly available. You can go and see the anybody else's data, but how it is secure, you cannot modify. We'll come to that. Also, it allows the resulting ledger to be accessed by different servers. So you can take part into it, any blockchain, and start your own node like that, right? So, but if you look at the banking system, right, contrary, you cannot go and look at others' data, right? And that is kind of central mechanism. The bank stores the data. So that is the difference. This is stored as a block, and chain of the blocks, right? So if you look at the diagram below, so data block is stored with its own signature. That is, let's say it's a hash of the block and the block number. And the next block is stored after that with the reference to the previous block. If you are from a technical background, you might correlate this with the linked list, right? So you have a data structure called linked list, and it stores the reference to the previous block. And it can refer, it can traverse through the linked list, right? Like this. It is simple as that. There is nothing like, if you hear about the blockchain, you may get confused, right? Okay, what is this blockchain and all those things, right? There is nothing much more than this. What makes it unique, it's a problem solving techniques, right? So how it makes secure, and how it is it is available publicly, nobody can go and change it. Even though changes, what is the mechanism that rectifies those errors, and the malicious users are eliminated time to time, like this, right? So in short, the overview is the blockchain is a growing list of data blocks that are linked together. That's the only definition. We'll go quickly see a demo of this and see how it works, right? All those things, how blockchain look like visually, and how the data is stored. Let's say this is the blockchain, right? So it has this one box here, represents a block. Let's understand this way. And another block, and it is storing a reference to the previous block. If you look at this, previous block hash is stored, right? Like this. But yes, before that, need to go quickly one step back and see what is a block first, right? Let's understand what the block consists of. This is your block, and this is the hash of the block, right? So if you are aware, the cryptography, right? So in computer science, we have a technology called cryptography, that what it does is it generates a unique signature for a given block of data. Here the data is nothing, so this is the signature for it. If I put some dot, you will see the signature has changed. Now the signature has changed. Okay, hold on, let me mute. Sorry guys. Okay, thank you. So the data represents on a blockchain in a fashion that it has a unique signature, right? So okay, let me change the data, let's say something else, right? So it has a unique signature. That's what I wanted to say here, right? And this is mostly SHA 256 is the cryptography algorithm, mostly and widely used. There are many other algorithms of the cryptography that creates a signature, unique signature for that data. And if you look at this, I'll change some other values, right? Like this. This is a block. We understood the block now. And for making a block valid, if you look at the down below, the color, right, has changed red. So every block or every blockchain has its own rule to accept the hash. So what it says, okay, give me the hash having 4 zeros, 4 trailing zeros, then only I'll consider it as a valid hash, right? So that creates a competition among whoever is creating the hash, right? I'm creating with just click. So then the mining comes into picture, right? So whoever try to find the hash of the block, valid hash of the block, or the signature of the block, right? So they have to mine it. If you click a mine button here, what it does is block number 1, this now says another number, just a number which increments, and try to get the hash having 4 trailing zeros, right? So 4 trailing zeros is a hash valid and on this blockchain. We can say the blockchain has its set of rules to accept the blocks, to create the competition among the miners, right? Whoever is trying to find because we can participate in mining, right? So like Bitcoin mining, Ethereum mining, or Litecoin mining, we can participate. It's publicly available, right? We can start a we can start a node and try to participate into that, and whoever finds the hash of the block first, that gets a reward, right? So this is where this is the mechanism of that blockchain I'm talking about, right? So we'll go over to the cryptocurrency later, but try to understand blockchain has its certain set of rules. Those are then only the block is valid, otherwise the block is invalid, right? If I go one step behind 37, right? So look at this, the rule has violated and it turned red, though it will create a hash, right? With the given set of data, it has created a hash, but it is not valid for the blockchain, right? So it makes secure to the it makes the blockchain secure, and that's how it works, right? So let's go over to the blockchain again. The hash, just I showed you, right? The hash is basic, like nothing has this hash, and if I put Shaktiio, right, this is the hash. SHA-256 algorithm runs on this data and creates a 32-byte signature of that block. That is your hash, right? And the beauty of it is, like, if you provide a 1 GB of data, let's say any data, right? So any data is represented as a hash, and that is the unique signature. And even if you change a dot, it changes the signature of that particular data block, right? So that is called hash. So we understood hash, we understood the block has its own rules, and block number and its signature, right? This is the current block signature. If you go ahead, blockchain is what now we can understand, right? So block number 1, this is the nonce to just calculate the hash of this particular thing until we get 4 trailing zeros. That makes the block valid. Now you will say there is no previous block to the first block. Then what is this zero, right? So in blockchain terms, this is called a genesis block. So first block ever mined or put on a blockchain is called a genesis block, and it has a previous hash as hard-coded 0, or you can hard-code any hash saying this is the genesis block and this is the previous, right? Like that. So from there, so this plays an important role when you actually go down the line and figure out whether the particular hash is valid or particular blockchain is valid or not, right? Because if you change anything in the previous block, all the other blocks get invalidated, right? So that's why you cannot go and modify the data. If you do modify data, you have to go mine all the blocks. Mine all the blocks means you have to go find the valid hash for all the blocks, right? So if it is for 3 blocks, it is possible within that particular time frame or within the infrastructure. Like, it needs a very competitive hardware. You cannot just go and do mining of the Bitcoin using your computer at this point. In the past, like 2008 or so, people used to do mining with the computers, right? They used to earn a lot of money using just computer. That time the difficulty level, right, was not set to that, because as more people enter into the ecosystem, it gets more difficult to mine a block, right? Because more people enter into it, more competition is there, right? And it becomes more difficult to break that chain. Let's say here I put a data, like I just put a O or 0 or dot anything, right? It changed the color, right? All the blocks after that block has got invalidated, right? Like that. So why the block has got invalidated? Because it is not complying with the rules of the blockchain. The hash created from this data, what are the things considered while calculating this hash is the block number. The nonce is just another incremental number to make sure we get to the right hash, right? And the data, this is mostly a transactional data. Who owns how much Bitcoins, or who owns how much data, or at a point in time, let's say if you want to simulate with the passport information, right? So once the passport expiry and everything is set on the data, you cannot go and change that, right? You cannot go and alter the existing record. You have to put it on another block if there are any modifications, right? So always the data is secured on blockchain. You cannot go and modify it like that. That's how it is immutable. So we need to understand. Okay, now we need to go and mine all this, right? So mining, you need to mine all the blocks, all of the rest of the blocks, and then you will understand all of the blocks have got valid signature, right? So that complies with the rules. Okay, so we now understood the blockchain. It is just a block has certain rules set on it, and it creates a unique signature, and each block is pointing its previous block on a blockchain, right? So that makes it very secure again, right? Okay, let's go back to the slide. We understood the blockchain. Okay, let me take you to the next slide, right? Now you understood a blockchain, and we are saying it cannot be modified, right? But I showed you, I modified, I mined it again, and the blockchain was valid, right? In that case, what will happen? Like if someone owns the data which has a copy, and he does something to the blockchain, he tempers the blockchain and again mines all the blocks, right? What will happen? Okay, the problems, we understood the problem that if we have one copy of the data, one copy of the blockchain, you can tamper with it because you have the full control and nobody else is going to question about it, right? But this doesn't work, right? So the distributed ledger comes into picture. So what is a distributed ledger? Is you create multiple copies of that blockchain database. Let's say how you want to store it is up to you, whether you want to store in a database, you want to store that block in a file, JSON or whatever. That this technology doesn't define that. You have to make your choice, and when you are building that blockchain, right? So here we want to understand what is a distributed ledger and what problem it is trying to solve, right? Blockchain, we understood chain of the blocks. Now distributed ledger is another concept which secures the blockchain, right? So what happens is if you have just one copy of the data, sorry, I'm just going ahead. Distributed ledger, right? So if you just have one copy of it, you can go modify it. But if you have multiple copies kept across the internet and anybody can participate into it, right? So look at this example. This is a peer A. This is, let's say, Kiran's copy, right? And this is my copy, or Sandeep has kept one another copy, let's say like this, right? So what happens is if you tamper with your data in the past, mostly the data is your transactional data, right? So mostly it's a record. You go and change your bank's accounts data, bank will not know, right? So this is your balance, right? Because bank has only one copy of it, right? Anybody changes to the record, he can tamper the record, right? Like that. But if you have multiple copies of the blockchain, let's say, okay, let's try to understand this blockchain is tampered, right? I have modified the data in the back, right? And now let me mine it and see where it goes, right? So I have to mine all the blocks from here. And let me say, okay, this is also a valid blockchain because, okay, look at the hashes and all, everything is fine, right? But what happens is distributed ledger has multiple copies of it. And looking at just last block, right? You understood this hash 07A07. And if you look at the another last block of the same blockchain, hash is different, right? Here, the hash is different. Like this, I mean, the last block we need to check all the time. Just remember that, right? So last block's hash, all the other chains have the same hash, whereas the first blockchain, the copy of the first blockchain is different, right? So what happens is in the distributed ledger, there is a technique, we will talk about that in a while, right? So consensus, right? So they agree to the state of the blockchain. After some time, they consolidate all the nodes, talk to each other and say, okay, this node number A has invalid entries or the data has been tampered, right? Again, if it has 4 or 5 nodes, these 4 guys can come together and tamper the data and make this node A invalid, right? But if you have thousands of nodes running for that particular blockchain, if you have thousands of copies of that particular record, it is highly impossible. That makes it highly impossible to modify or tamper with the data. This is the distributed ledger. So to summarize, what is distributed ledger is a database that is consciously shared, that is mutual consent, right? So I agree to talk to Kiran agrees to talk to Sandeep, and we have a same rule set, right, all the time, and they synchronize each other. Like every block is found, it is published to everyone, right? When the new block is found, when the new data is verified, it records on the blockchain, and everyone synchronizes, right? So everyone will have the same copy of the data at a given point in time, right? Doesn't matter where are you sitting, you need to have a better connection, internet connection, and you can run that node like you're participating in the that particular blockchain, right? So so far the distributed ledger is clear. Okay, now the real thing, right? So Bitcoin, we understood the concept. Now what is the use of it, right? Can we make something better for each individual on the earth to make use of it, and not having a third party like bank or government to approve it, right? Or there is no third party to approve it, but it's on its own, right? It is made sure that data is publicly available, but nobody can tamper it. So using this kind of technology, SHA-256 algorithm was in 2000. Also we saw this because when we if you are from engineering background or technical background, mostly they include this cryptography in your computer network programming, because this is widely used in military applications where they sign the messages, make sure that the message has come from the right person, right, and it is not tampered with. They use this SHA-256 signatures, right? Public private key algorithms, right? Cryptography we talk about. So Bitcoin was the first application to precisely say Bitcoin was the first most useful application. They tried even before to make sure that digital money, right? Digital money, the banking is not a digital money, right? So it is digitally transacted, but it has a central authority. Central authority like banks have to approve your transactions, right, and make sure that they keep the balances correct into their records, right? And even if you make a 10 crore 100 crore transaction, they can stop, right? What are you doing? And if someone deposits 100 crore to your account, they can ask you questions like that, right? So you are not your own bank. But what people wanted to do is, again, if you want to pass the money to US or some other country, if you want to buy something overseas, that's again hassle, right? You have to go to the bank or do an international transaction that put a lot of charge, and when the transaction will get settled, we don't know, right? So people around the internet were thinking about, can we do something where the central authority is not required, and there is no central authority, so I can pass that as a money to someone sitting at the overseas, right? Like that. So Bitcoin was the first application of the blockchain, we can say. So we understood Bitcoin is the first application. Then blockchain is the underlying data structure, which is used for many things, like including cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is the first application, we'll say. And to precisely say, Bitcoin is the first application of the cryptocurrency, right? I mean, first type of cryptocurrency. A public network in which anyone, include a malicious participants. Now, here is the main thing, right? Will the bank open their database for any user? No, right? They can make use of it, and they can do a lot of things that will harm the ecosystem, that will just bring down the bank, right? If you are able to look at the balances of someone else's, right, account, then banks are gone, right? And you can make use of their details of credit card and all those things, and you can make those transactions. They cannot open their database for anyone, right? But the beauty of this Bitcoin is it is open to all, right? So malicious participants, if someone has a bad intention of using it or tampering with the data, doing whatever they want, right, it is open, but it is built in a such a way that you cannot temper the data, right? Even if you temper, there are mechanisms built in that will just eliminate your data, and blockchain will keep going, right? That will just discard that particular node. The ecosystem is built in such a way programmatically. So mainly what I'm trying to say is code is the law, code is the rule. That's how it is built, right? Nobody else need to monitor that particular blockchain, but code itself will monitor and reject the bad, participants, right? Like this. Okay, can participant without restriction, right? So this can be even though it is not organized by central authority, it works, right? So any application you take example, right, bank or some data structure, it has to have a central authority to maintain and manage it, right? And make sure that it authenticates, it approves, right? Like that. So there is a central authority always to just say yes or no, like that, right? And this particular ecosystem Bitcoin application doesn't need a central authority, and it works well, right? So that is why it has a value, right? You don't need those people. Like, why the government is worried about Bitcoin? Though it's a simple another program. We are not worried about hackers that much. We are not worried about viruses and other things, right? But why we are much more worried about Bitcoin at this point? This makes it very powerful. Why? Because it doesn't need a central authority. Once the transaction is recorded, once the transaction is sent, nobody can roll it back. Though let's say you send the Bitcoin to someone else, unintended person, you made a mistake, right? That is gone. So that is a responsibility again. Like, while using this network, while using this infrastructure, it has a responsibility as well. More power, more responsibility, like that, right? And to just quickly show what happens is, as many people join the ecosystem, the more demand creates for that particular record. Bitcoin is just another record, right? So Kiran has 100 Bitcoins, let's say. Like, this is kind of record put on a blockchain. Once it is put on a blockchain, nobody else can change, and Kiran only can spend that. Again, that's the beauty, right? Only the owner of that address, owner of that coin can spend it on the internet, right? Like that. And Kiran has a freedom to send it to any corner of the world at any given point in time, right? So Bitcoin works 24/7. The banks work like working days, holidays, like this. But Bitcoin doesn't have any kind of restriction for you to send the coins or Bitcoins or the value transfer from one place to another place, right? So that makes it very beautiful again and attractive, right? For this is the use of it, right? And more security, why I said is more secure when more participants come in picture, because we saw the distributed ledger, right? If it has just 5 copies, it can be tempered. If it has 3-4 copies, it can be tempered more. If it has 1,000 copies, again, tempering is impossible. If it has 1 lakh copies, then it is highly impossible, like that. So it is getting secure and secure and secure. That is why people trust Bitcoin at this point, right? There are thousands of cryptocurrencies in the market, right? Every day 2-4 cryptocurrencies are being created, but most secure Bitcoin is the most secure cryptocurrency is our Bitcoin. What makes it more secure is underlying infrastructure. From 2008 to till date, right? People have participated more and more and more, right? And value have gone from a penny to today it's around $50,000, right? Like that. So you will wonder like how the prices are being driven, right? Demand and supply, nobody is controlling the price. Whoever want to buy it, he is ready to buy because he understands the value of it. And whoever is want to sell it, he want to sell it for that particular price, right? That drives the prices. Okay, let me show you a quick demo of Bitcoin as a token, right? On the blockchain itself. How the Bitcoin works, we understood hash, block, blockchain, and distributed ledger. Now the tokens, right? You can create, Bitcoin is the first token we can say that is just a record on a blockchain, right? And let's say this is a block number, the nonce which actually complies with, like, this is 5 zeros, right? So this blockchain has a different rule set, right, like this. So mostly the rule sets are around the hash, what kind of hash you can create, and that creates a competition among the miners, right? So this data and this nonce and the block number created this hash. So I said, if you have a 100 GB or 10 GB data, it will only create 32-byte string, unique string. That is very beautiful, right? You cannot, I mean, if you go back and do some modification right into this blockchain, look at this, every block after that has got invalidated like this. So you need to be, this is how the blockchain is secured. You cannot go into back into the time and change anything, right? So, and if you do that, what you have to do is you have to mine that block again, right? And as I said, mining is possible just only if you are having a one chain. You can go mine all the blocks, right? You run your algorithm, find that particular hash which complies with the rules of the blockchain, right? So like that. But yes, the distributed ledger thing, right? So that will eliminate your blockchain. It will just keep your blockchain aside, and only next time, okay. So it takes time, I told you, right? So when it is going to find, we don't know, right? It sometimes it's the nonce is in lakhs or crores or like that, right? So this number, that is where it is kind of, you know, intensive, CPU intensive work. Single formula you need to do calculate again and again and again, right? So these many times it has to go ahead and find a hash, and hash to comply, to just make sure that it complies with the rule set, right? So rest of the blocks are validated, okay, no problem. But yes, I told you, look at the last block of the blockchain and you will come to know that which blockchain is tampered with, right? So we understood that the data, like these many, this is the transactional data, right? So this person sent these many bitcoins to another person. It just records the number. And there is another process called mining and validation of the transactions. It just checks whether you really have the balances to send it to someone else, right? Okay. The another question may arise in your mind: who creates the first Bitcoin, right? Because you cannot send it to someone unless you have it, you have a balance, right? You bought it somewhere from, but yes, where it come from at the first, you may ask this question, right? Let me answer that. The process called mining, right? So those who are participating into the network and finding the hash, helping the blockchain to survive, helping the blockchain to grow like this. So they can participate using their computer's power. They take the data, they take the this nonce, they can increment themselves, right? Block number, previous block hash, they take and they help the blockchain to find this hash. Then they get some reward. I'll say when this Anders finds the block first, he got credited with the 100 bitcoins, let's say. This is the coin based transaction. Where the coins are coming from, that dictates, like, if this particular person found a block, he helped the blockchain system, the Bitcoin blockchain, to find an hash using his computer's power. He spent his electricity, right? So there are many miners around the world. Those are competing only competing for this, trying to find the hash for next block. And you will wonder, it is like if you want to run a small computer, ASIC computer, application specific integrated circuit, right? That is only designed to calculate this hash. You will see it's like as good as your CPU size, let's say. It takes the power, it consumes the power of your 5 HP motor, let's say. So then it's an expensive operation. That is why he gets rewarded with the bitcoins, right? And more people understand this ecosystem. They go buy the computers, put onto the network, with the having internet access, and they start mining the blockchain, mining on the blockchain, and then they are rewarded. The first person who spent his electricity, who used his computer to mine the block, gets rewarded. That's where the coins creations come into picture. And again, the Bitcoin has a limited supply. I mean, anybody can go and find a block, but 10 minutes is the time each block is found on the Bitcoin blockchain, right? So every 10 minutes, Bitcoin gets rewarded, right? So not like it has some rules. It was 50 Bitcoins per block in the initial, I think. And then now today it has 6.5 or something around that, right? So 12.5. So every 4 years, they reduce the reward into half. So next time the competition again, when the value goes up, they compete again, like more people involved into it, values goes up, right? So even you say 6.25 Bitcoins per 10 minutes, right? That adds the supply. But what is the demand and how much supply is getting created? That again drives the price of it. So they have made sure that supply gets cut every 4 years. Supply gets cut half, right? Like this. So that is the mechanism that Bitcoin is using to make sure they survive, and the value of the value of the coin gets increased, right? So more time is gone, value will automatically increase because more participants are participating, and the supply is getting cut like this. Okay, so far I think hopefully we are good. Let's talk about the who created this, right? So who invented this all thing, and what was the situation all around, right, the world. It was like a anonymous someone created this Bitcoin. He'll publish the white paper. The white paper is the concept. If people don't know about it, let me talk about that, right? So where you publish all your details about what are you going to do, right, and how it is going to work, you technical details of the particular blockchain you create, and what is the problem, specific problem you are trying to solve, right? That's called a white paper in this industry particularly, right? So Bitcoin's white paper was created in 2008, and Satoshi Nakamoto was a person named as like this, right? So but nobody has seen that person ever. That is the beauty of again this protocol again, right? Nobody knows who created it, but everyone uses it, and it is the #1 blockchain on the internet today, right? So that makes again more beautiful. Nobody knows who is developing software, and everyone is using, and it has a billions and trillions in dollars value today, right? That makes it more beautiful. All right, let's talk about what happens to the beauty again. Another feature of the Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency. Mostly we'll talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum today, right? There are many, but yes, everyone shares the same properties. It is decentralized, as I said, right? There is no central bank or authority required to make this transaction happen. I sent some Bitcoins to someone in the US, that is on the blockchain, and all other participants, these participants, right? So they can go ahead and validate my transaction irrespective of knowing who is sending whom, right? Like this. Because you when you are sending to someone, your address is a hash string, a big hash string, like this. If this is your address, and if this is sender's address, let's say, nobody will come to know who is sending to whom. Only you will see the transaction from this hash to this hash, like this. You don't see the names on the blockchain actually, but this is for just illustration purpose, right? So try to understand that you are sending to someone else, it is totally anonymous. That is where the KYC, AML come into picture again. The tax evasion, right? So you can evade the taxes. You earn money in the Bitcoin, and government doesn't know how much Bitcoin you have, or so that is the underlying problem. The government is trying to restrict and trying to ban or trying to regulate around that thing, because they see they cannot control it. It is decentralized and it is working fine, right? So that is the beauty. And mostly government is concerned about not having a central authority to approve those transactions, right? So this is eliminated. You can do transfer like this, no, without any central intermediary. Building consensus is the mutual understanding, right? So again, many people come into the picture. So what happens is, after a finite time set by the blockchain, all participants agree on a single state of the blockchain, right? Let's say there are 1 lakh copies of the blockchain and everyone has a different state on the internet, right? That's not going to work. So this, when they are running a node to validate or mine the bitcoins, right, they will have to comply with the rules set by the bitcoin or the blockchain of that particular coin, right? So they comply, they come back, and okay, they sync up with each other and say, okay, these 5 nodes are bad nodes, right? They are running out of sync, or they don't have the correct data, and the last block hash is not matching, right? So they just eliminate that node and just continue with, let's say this first person has a bad node, they just eliminate, and his copy had to be synced again, has to be synced again with the others, and then only he can participate into the network. So this is very beautiful concept and designed well. Okay, so far we are good. And then if someone published on a blockchain, everyone agrees to that. If the records are matching, then agrees, and they say, okay, good, right? Doesn't have to know who is sending whom, but only they rely on the blockchain database, right? So as I said, and again, creating witness, they create witness for each other, right? So I'm sending a transaction, they are the witnesses, right? These are the 100 witnesses, 1,000 witnesses, or 1 lakh witnesses, that saying, okay, this particular address has the balance, and I'm sending this particular person using his private key, right? So I just said, like, public private key concept, right? Using his private key, he has signed the transaction, and the transaction is put on a blockchain. It is gone, right? Like this. Okay, the key features, I want to talk about the key features. We already know most of it, right? But uh, what is a sound money, right? Though many people talk about Bitcoin is a sound money or Ethereum is a sound money, right? So is the government's currency is a sound money? May not be at this point, right? We'll understand what is a sound money, and then we'll talk about whether the currencies issued by the government are sound money or not. Up to some extent, within certain geographical territories, they are sound, but it is not sound if you go outside, right? When you go to the US, you have to get the exchange, right? You cannot use as is, or nobody will accept it. You cannot send it a note of 500 rupees to US at this point right now, right? Within 10 minutes, if I ask you to send, you cannot send it, right? Like that. So transferable, like transferability is a lack of feature for others. But in terms of Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency, what are the features that makes it sound, right? First feature, we'll talk about it, but yeah, the right only, immutable, right? So I said immutable, transparent data storage, it's on the blockchain, so everyone can go and find out whether how much balance a particular this address has. But the beauty is nobody knows whom this address belongs to. That is beautiful, right? Without knowing whom it address belong to. That's where government again has a problem. KYC, right? You have 100 bitcoins, but they don't know whom it belongs to, right? Like that. It is decentralized, no need for intermediaries. You don't need any central authority to approve it. Consistent state across all participants, right? They have built a mechanism to sync, right? Every 10 minutes, data is synced, right? And again, the next block is put on a blockchain. It is synced to whoever is not in that particular thing, right? Resistant against malicious participants, as I said, and you see, it's open to everyone. But is this resistant against the malicious participants? If anybody has a bad intention to participate into the ecosystem, but I want to just go and hack the system and get someone else's Bitcoin, I want to just let the Bitcoin not work and crash the system. That is the beauty, right? That is the beauty of it. Like turtle, right? Your tortoise has immunity. Like he has a very hard back like that, right? Even though if you give it to someone, he'll not be able to break that. Like, so they have a code built, the rules built into the system, and using the cryptography. It was not possible without cryptography. That's another thing, because it is a one-way hash, right? You create a hash of a particular data, but from the hash you cannot go back to the data. That is the beautiful thing in this ecosystem, right? So these are the some properties: durable, physically stable, does not rust or rust or rot or melt, right? So as long as internet is there, this money is durable. Okay. Transferable, it can be transferred from one place to another place within 10 minutes, or immediately it is transferred, but verification process of the particular transaction, right, whether the bitcoin belongs to you, whether you are the owner of that bitcoin or not, right, that takes 10 minutes at least to get it confirmed, right, get it confirmed on the blockchain. And once it is confirmed, it is the other person whom you sent, right, he can use that particular bitcoin and start using that bitcoin from onwards. Divisible, right? So our money is 1.00 rupee. So 1 rupee is divisible by 99 or 100 paisa, let's say. But the bitcoin is divisible by 8. So if you have a 0.00001, right, so that is the division. It is divisible more than your traditional money. And let's say tomorrow you have a 0.0001234 bitcoin, that may be equivalent to 1 lakh crore rupees or whatever, right? So, and if you want to pay a smaller transaction, very small transaction, you want to pay for a coffee, let's say just $5, let's say, or just $1. So that division of the money is possible using that. Can I pay 0.05 paisa, 0.001 paisa at this point? No, right? 1 paisa is the minimum we can pay, and rest of the things are not even valid in the ecosystem, right? So divisibility is more in terms of Bitcoin, right? Scarce is a limited quantity available for use. Okay, what makes this Bitcoin again attractive and more secure, more trustworthy is its limited quantity available. I said every block found, they reward some Bitcoin to that miner for participating or for using that electricity, for using that computer to find the hash for that block, right? And that's not an easy process, I said, right? Just a single CPU can consume a 5 HP motor's energy. That's my experience, right? And you will understand like how much heat it will generate and all those things, right? That is not easy process. So they reward that Bitcoin to that particular miner, right? So limited quantity, how the limited quantity is coded is 21 million Bitcoin will ever exist. Today, around 16 million are in circulation, right? And rest of the till 21 million, it will go ever, right? If it takes 200, 500 years from now to finish that supply, you will say, okay, every 10 minutes, if it is finding 6 Bitcoins, then how we can survive 500 years? So the idea is every 4 years, it is halving. That concept is called halving, right? So it is halving its, the supply. I mean, reward, right? So it is giving reward now 6.25. After 4 years from now, it will give 3 Bitcoins. After 4 years after that, it will give 1 Bitcoin, let's say. And after 100 years, it will give whatever the fraction of the Bitcoin possible, right, till 0.00008, right? 8 zeros are there after 1. If it gets a fraction of Bitcoin, then also it can survive till the end of this universe. That's what it is designed for, right? So limited quantity is 21 million. That is very beautiful. Recognizable, easy to recognize and verify the authenticity, right? So recognizable, that means in the world we are lagging very much in terms of technology and understanding of technology in US and other many countries, right? Even the employees are getting paid into Bitcoin. or any cryptocurrency, right? So that's how they're advancing, right? You can go to any shop in Japan, the air tickets you can buy with Bitcoin, right? So that's the idea I'm just giving you. There are many rules set around it. You can use it. Now, El Salvador is another country, right? They made the Bitcoin as a legal tender. They don't accept their own money. I mean, let's say we don't have our own money and everyone just accept the Bitcoin, and we will recognize that also recognizable, right? So it is being recognized across the globe, and as the US dollar is a fiat, right, recognized all over the world, Bitcoin is the next thing after dollar. It will drive its own value because everyone is recognizing, right? Fungible and non-fungible things we'll talk about. Fungible, that means 1 rupee can be replaced with another 1 rupee, like Bitcoin is replaced with another Bitcoin. Non-fungible tokens are a different concept. We can talk it later, no problem, right? So far, I think we are good, right? So let's talk about challenges. So while implementing this particular Bitcoin, and what are the challenges the people or the blockchain itself is facing, right? The first challenge is the energy consumption, right? So when you put a mining box, I told you, it emits a lot of heat. First thing, it consumes a lot of energy, because as the competition, as the values are growing, right, you just give up on that particular box and okay, I cannot run it at all, right, because it is consuming a lot of energy. And you will get rewarded, definitely you will get rewarded, but the overall energy consumption is increasing, right? That is what it makes the Bitcoin network secure. Again, positive is there and challenge is also there, right? So I said, if you modify a blockchain, you have to do mining for all the blocks ahead where you changed it, right? And if it is taking, huge power to just mine a block, if you have to mine, let's say, 100 crore blocks, you'll not be able to do it at all, because you do not have that power or energy, right? So it will be as good as you are buying new Bitcoins, right, to change a particular record in back in time. So that is good, also bad, because environmentally it is consuming a lot of energy. Okay, so it uses the proof of work, right? The proof of work, POW mining algorithm. So you show that you worked, you find the hash with your computers, and that is your proof of work, right? That hash complies with the set of rules, and then say, okay, this hash is accepted. That is your proof of work concept, right? We'll talk about proof of stake as well, because that is more energy efficient and that doesn't take this much energy, right? Bitcoin is still on the proof of work and it is going well as this at this point. Again, the scalability, right? The transactions per second. So Bitcoin supports 1 MB per block, right? That is again a limitation, as well as the limitations are built so that it makes the blockchain secure again, right? The scalability, you cannot put 1 million transaction in a single block. You have to wait. And how you wait is, they have a queue built on the blockchain, which takes the first, let's say, 5,000 records or 1 lakh records, whatever records which can fit into 1 MB block on the blockchain, right? And whoever has the maximum fees, right? So I said, like, transaction needs to pay some fees, not in much, but yeah, if you are giving let's say $100 to someone, you have to pay the certain amount, around $1 or so, for a fees at this point, or it can be lesser, because the fees depends on how many transactions are there at point in time on the blockchain in the queue, like that, right? So that is another challenge, we can say. The money laundering, right? So you don't know the KYC, who is sending and all those things. So government is mostly worried about the money laundering. So why they are not getting ready to accept it or like that, right? So it can be used for bad intentions, and whoever is using for good intentions, it is a kind of blessing for them. Personal responsibility, right? As I said, once the transaction is put on a blockchain, you cannot roll back, right? You are being your own bank. It is a responsibility, right? It is your responsibility to make sure you send it to the right person make sure you secure your wallet keys, right? What is a wallet key? I'll quickly show you. So what happens is, you have, when you create a wallet on, like there are many wallet services, that's not a problem, right? So you can download any wallet service. But when it is a decentralized wallet, if you go for exchange, right, so they will not give you a wallet key. But if you are on a decentralized, where they don't even care about who you are, right? And that this is the key, right? So you cannot read this number as a private key. That's why they give you a readable key like this, and it's a 12-word key. That is your private key, right? So that's how you use your private key to make sure you log into the wallet. This is one of the MetaMask wallet. I'll show you, right? So this is the one of the MetaMask wallets. I just I use it for testing purpose. There are so many other wallets, right? You can go ahead and use it. So when you actually import your account, it asks you for that particular key I showed you, right? This is the key, and your own bank. Once you got the key, you can go and import that key and just start using your Bitcoins or Ethereum or whatever the coins that wallet supports, right? From that key, it will start reading those coins from all those blockchains, right? It has some certain other features, like we can go check the testnet or mainnet like that. This is for developer purpose, but my intention is to show you what is the key, right? And what is your responsibility. This key, if you ever lose to anyone, and if you have funds into your account, they will be the owner and they will be able to sign your message or transfer it in and out, right? Like this. So that the power comes with your with the responsibility, right? So what I wanted to say, and what is the takeaway from this whole thing, is the personal responsibility, right? You are responsible. You are having your own bank, right? Let's say you have 100,000, 1 lakh crore rupees into your bank account. The bankers will, look at it. They will say where the money is coming from, KYC, AML, right? All those things will come into picture, and they will try to drill you down like that, right? You are not your own bank. Though the account belongs to you, you cannot transfer some crore or go to the bank and get the 1 crore cash, because you need to give prior intimation to them. A lot of things are there, right? So that you can rely on the bank for managing your funds. That's what, simply, right? Though the bank account is yours, you are not the owner of it, right? The true owner of it. And let's say if something goes wrong, right? If something goes wrong, what I mean is, let's say you made a transaction on from your bank, or someone else made a transaction. You can go to the bank and say, okay, who made this transaction? I didn't do. You can talk to them, and they may roll back the transaction, right? So it is not a true transaction. It is not a true transfer, right? They can roll back transaction. They can get the details where it has sent and whom it has sent from, like that, right? So this Bitcoin, once it is sent, right, you cannot roll back. And that's what I'm saying, you are the owner of your own bank account. Whom you are sending, that gives you the full freedom, right, of your funds, and that is your key. So be responsible, use your key, put it on a paper, not even on the, I never put my real keys on on the computer, because if computer gets some malware, they can steal your data and they will come to know what is your key, right? So it is never recommended to put into the digital format. What actually we do is, when you actually create an account, write this down on a piece of paper, right? Or just by heart, like, if some people are good in remembering big words or like this, right? So they can remember this, and that is your key, that is your bank, right? Just a piece of paper can hold your key, and your key can hold any number of coins or any number of money. That's what I wanted to say. So be responsible. Never write it on the digital format, but just keep a hard copy of it, right? And use it responsibly. Okay, that's about the Bitcoin. Okay, let's go one more step ahead. Okay, I'll quickly ask questions, like not questions, but how are we doing? Like, is it making any sense, Kiran sir?
Yes, Balaji, it is definitely making sense. Just two questions, okay? Like what I thought, okay, you are mentioning that bank is not involved in the same, okay? So if I have to sell the Bitcoin, so or I have to purchase the Bitcoin, it will definitely deduct from my bank, correct?
Yes,
So
right.
bank will came to know that this transaction has been happened, okay, or government may know. So what's your thought on it?
Yep. So let's consider that way, right? So exchange you need to go definitely when you are on the exchange, right? The exchanges, I mean, where you actually go first place and buy the Bitcoin, right? Like your jewelry shop, right? First time you go to the jewelry shop, you swap your card, make a transaction, buy gold, right? That point, till that point, when you are buying, government will know you bought it, right? But here the question is not about buying it, right? It's about using it. And now you give your gold to anyone else, there is no third party involved, right? Third party will not know whom you give the gold, right? Like that. Usage wise, I'm talking about. Otherwise, when you want to sell it, convert into the fiat, convert into the Indian rupees, and again buy it. That way, government will definitely know, right? So that is where the exchanges, right? So they have the KYC process in place, AML process in place, right? So till their point, till the point of buying it, it is they will know, bank will know, but they are not involved, right? They are not involved in your transaction. They are only involved as long as there is an Indian rupees transaction. First time you bought it with the Indian rupees, that's why they are involved. Further from there, right? Let's say 10 crore rupees you want to put into Bitcoin today and use it like 100 years later, right? They will know you bought it, right? But they will not know what happened to that 100 crores and where did that go later, like that.
Okay. And one more question that, for example, like for trading, we are doing through suppose share Khan. Okay. So amount is getting credited, okay, into our bank account. Okay. But trade so this way, okay, suppose like one person is selling shares and another person is buying the shares. Okay. But it is going through the exchange and we are getting that money. So is there any kind of exchange or any who is circulating the money at the same, because Bitcoin I can understand definitely it is like what we can say, it can transfer from one person to another person, okay, but what about
Okay, simple. Indian exchanges, right? Indian crypto exchanges, you need to go and find, right? You will get the list of the exchanges, right? There are many, 5 exchanges in India. So Coindex, Zebpay, WazirX. Personally, I use WazirX and Zebpay. There are so many, right, to name. And yes, so like you said, Khan is there, right? So WazirX or Zebpay are the popular ones I can recommend. And there are many based on their pros and cons. You can search on the internet. So, yep, to you, Kiran.
perfect, thanks.
Only thing is, you need to understand this is kind of asset. Okay, shares are also asset, but you cannot take out the shares from the exchange and give it to me personally, right? Because you have to have another exchange account, or you just sell it. You just even cannot transfer yourself, right? Like that. So the Bitcoin is a powerful because you can transfer it to any corner of the world. That's why it is called a currency, right? You can exchange. You can give it to someone for their services, right? For example, if you are a freelancer and you are globally providing your services, let's say software services or a consultation services, right? You can accept Bitcoins and give your services. Now, Bitcoins not all, but whatever the exchange rate at the point, you say, okay, give me $500, I'll give you this service, right? Like this. So they transfer, your bank don't know, right? You got the money, your tax authorities don't know you got the money, right? And if you collect this huge amount of money from your customers, you can evade the taxes. That's where the government is worried about, right? But it is beautiful in terms of looking at, if you look at its decentralized way and third party is not required, that's how it is beautiful. But it has disadvantages for the authorities, right? Not for us. It's good, right? If you if you are not supposed to pay the taxes, it's good for you, but for government it is very difficult to track and hold you responsible for making those transactions and taxable, right? If you buy it, then they can keep track, but if you are just accepting for your service, they cannot keep track and they will not know ever unless you sell it on some exchange.
So, Balaji, I have a query on that. What the legal aspect of the Bitcoin? It is legalized in the Asian markets, or how is it? Means I heard that Bitcoin is not legalized across globe, right? Across all the economy. So, what the legal aspect of the Bitcoin? And if I want to, one Bitcoin equivalent to what the USD or dollar, any kind of equivalence you can establish in the Bitcoin.
So the coin will come to your question. Let me show you like where you can see the prices of the Bitcoin, right? The coin market cap, right? This is the website. You can track the, like it is something around 40 lakhs or somewhere, right? 47 at this point, $1,000 and $4,000 for Ethereum, right? These are the two things we are more focused on. There are hundreds of thousands of other coins. We are not concerned, or we will not discuss about it, but these two to focus on and has most of the useful nature of it, right? And the government aspect, Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies are not regulated and illegal. These are two different things, right? Not regulated, that means they do not have a framework to fit into at this point, and they are discussing about it, right? Like this. And illegal means they have declared it's illegal and nobody can use it at all. I just showed you the Indian exchanges, right? If it is if it was illegal, how these exchanges are working, right? So Supreme Court in 2020, right, 2020 gave a decision and asked the government not to restrict any of these businesses unless you come up with a something concrete on the. So the bill are there discussing at this point, right, in the parliament. They need a lot of more time because you cannot restrict such a beautiful technology, right? If you look at its advantages, so always coin has two sides, right? If you even take the simple example of cash, simple example of other commodities like gold, diamond, anything, it has two sides. It has value, but it can be used in any other illegal activities. You cannot, that is why you cannot ban it as a blanket, right? You cannot restrict the gold, you cannot, because it has some beautiful properties as well. So we need to look at the both the coin sides of the coin. So government is still discussing about it, right? So they don't know like how we can treat it, what. So mostly the SEBI, right? So whoever the authority, Indian authority, which actually controls the share market and all those things, they will be responsible for controlling this asset as well, asset class. We can say this is again an asset class like your property, right? If it is not currency for anyone, we can say currency, anything can be currency, right? Something which can be accepted across, like people used to sell
like barter system. Yeah.
right? So anything can be considered as a currency as long as it is being accepted, like gold coins, diamond coins, and all this. So, but it is up to the government whether declare it as a currency or just an asset, right? We at this point, you take a gold and go to someone else and a shop and say, okay, take this gold and give me. So that system we do not have, right? It is classified as asset, so you keep it, you buy it, sell it, good. But it cannot be used directly for the exchange, buying the goods, right? At this point, gold, cryptocurrency in the similar way, they will declare it as assets mostly. They will say, okay, this is another asset class, and this has certain rules, right? You go exchange, register your KYC, buy it and hold it there, sell it there, no problem, and it will also apply the taxes as per your property, right? So capital gains taxes. Most probably this is the framework we are expecting to come out, but as of now it is not regulated, right? So there are no rule sets around it, so nobody can stop you or nobody will promote you. That's how the framework is as of now in India.
Okay, okay. So government is still not ready with the legal framework to control this Bitcoin,
Yes, yes.
this cryptocurrency market, right?
Correct, correct. They are discussing this winter. They introduced this. I mean, they have been discussing it for long. But see, this is kind of problem. It doesn't have a straightforward solution. You go ban it, you lose the benefit of it, right? You go allow it, there are other issues, right, related to it. So they have to find a perfect framework which will allow the good inventions, good intended people to use it, allow the inventions to happen, but not allow the money laundering, not allow the terrorism promotions, all these things, right? And again, how to apply the taxes, right, on the gains. That's how they are discussing and coming with a perfect framework. So it has been postponed. This is the second time I am hearing from the parliament. Bill was presented, but it is postponed to the next session like this, right? So government is aware of the who is I mean, how much is the base, how many people are involved into it, and benefits out of it, right? So if you look at the prices, right, now one Bitcoin is worth 40 lakhs or something around it, right? If you just do a calculation. And when I was looking at it in 2016, it was just trading under $500. So now you will see what potential it has, and there is no asset class on the earth which can compete this kind of long-term gain, right? Ethereum, I saw it was $9 in 2016-17, right? So this is the gain. If we get into this, now that prices looks 3,000 looks, oh, okay, this much 3 lakhs rupees for one Ethereum. It was 3,000 in last 3 years back. Then we thought, okay, this is too much for this, right? And now we are thinking this is too much for it. So always point in time, right? So we need to understand how much potential it has. This was trading like Binance coin. I'll tell you, it was trading $30 last year. Now it is 538. So what is driving its value is underlying businesses. These are all related to the business, right? So like we have a Shaktiio protocol. We are trying to solve a problem and we create our own coin and we accept our own coin only, right, into the ecosystem. If you want to get our services, you will have to buy the coin like that, right? So, but Ethereum and Bitcoin are kind of mostly public, right? So these are created by people for people like that. And these are created by some exchanges for their exchanges to use and their services to use. So underlying business drives the price, and demand and supply is the only way to, and it's unpredictable, right? So more and more people, if let's say government comes up with a right framework tomorrow, more people will be aware, more people will get into it. I mean, they will feel freedom, right, to invest into it. And we don't know where the prices will go in next 3 years, right? So we have to think about that and put some percentage of our I mean, that's what I'm suggesting, but anyway, it's up to everyone else, right? If we think that it is not regulated, tomorrow if government bans it, definitely the government is very conscious about the investors and their people, right? They will not do a kind of blanket ban, or in a day or two, they will not shut down everything. They will say, okay, we are giving you 6 months or so, just get out of it, if they ban at all. But I don't see that is a possibility, because more people, more exchanges are coming into play at this point. They are starting their business afresh, right? Because they have some idea about what is going to be the framework, right? So yeah, go ahead. If you have anybody else have questions, we'll take that. Otherwise, I will go to the next slide.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Balaji.
Yeah. Balaji, hi. This side Bheshaj here. Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. Go ahead.
I have a question here regarding the value appreciation of Bitcoin or any other crypto. You said that value is derived or driven by the underlying business, but what sort of business these are, which is giving that kind of appreciation, not in a few hundred times, but in thousands and lakhs times?
Sure.
Because there is nothing. I mean, what is that something which is giving that kind of appreciation? Is there something which is tangible, or it's all virtual? So if you can clarify this, this would help.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right. So it is a good question, actually. I said underlying business drives the value. These other coins, right? They have their business or they have their own problem statements and they are trying to solve, right? And then that drives the value. Bitcoin and Ethereum are the first currencies, right? And first cryptocurrencies that is mainly based on the their demand and supply. They don't have an underlying business. The businesses, like some other businesses, right, using their using these coins as a method of payment, right? So Bitmain, I'll show you, like there are many. If you go and search what are the sites which accepts which accepts the Bitcoin as a payment method, right? That is driving the value. Let's say this is the bitmain.com. It sells the hardware, right? So it sells the ASIC software, ASIC hardware, and those are priced like $12,000, right? If you want to buy it, right, so you don't have to pay the dollars, but it is converted into the Bitcoin, and you pay that Bitcoin to them, and they will ship you, right? So like that is driving the value of the Bitcoin up and up and up. So more and more businesses are using it.
But is that
Yeah, go ahead.
But is that not virtually hyped? Yeah, is that not virtually hyped price? The real price of any commodity is not the one which is being shown here or any platform, right? So are we not just kind of bubbling it out too much and raising the price?
No.
And one day it might get collapsed.
Right. So your question is right again, right? So virtual currencies and demand and supply, again, I said it has collapsed so many times, I'll tell you, right? So in 2017, it's collapsed to $3,000 from 20. Collapse is possible in short term because people sell out in a panic, like government is banning it, it goes down, but the supply is limited, first thing, right? More people getting into it, that's the second thing. And more businesses, right, using it for their daily life purchase. And like I said, in some countries they have allowed to be paid in the Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies, right? And even I'll show you some of the sites, right, where you can put your Bitcoin into the account and use your credit card or the debit card based on that Bitcoin into any market. So what happens is, if value appreciates, you get that benefit. If value goes down, you pay little, right? So you don't spend much of it. So that is overall driving, and it is not a hype, I'll tell you, because the infrastructure, I told you how safe and how it is secured, right, on the blockchain. So that is where a common person makes a mistake, because they do not understand the underlying framework, and they think that it is going to collapse the whole ecosystem, right? We are thinking, I was in the same boat that you are on today, right? I was on the same boat, unless I came here and I have seen the price going to this direction, right? 1 million per Bitcoin is not far away. Just mark my words. Not based on my overconfidence, but from 2016, when the Bitcoin was $500, right? And more people are getting involved now. If you look at the world's richest man, the Elon Musk, right, just bought 1.5 $1.5 billion Bitcoins, right? They are investing, more and more people investing, more and more people using it. Values are going up, right? It will not collapse suddenly, but even if it not collapse, but yeah, the values, like share market, right, it goes like the same way. But in the long term, underlying values changes. Again, I said, like, how difficult it is to generate new, that also makes a big factor into what is the value currently, right? I said, if you run a computer which consumes a 5 HP power today, it will generate $20 a day. Look at this. So it is very hard to how the values are driven. The gold, right? Gold mining. Gold can be taken out or can be mined, but what is the cost of mining it like this, right? So this whole algorithm makes it secure, and 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, you will remember the session that, okay, we should have got into this. And again, to everyone, I want to request one thing. If you want to invest for long term, 3 years, 5 years, because what happens is every time it goes down, we get panic and we sell out in the losses first thing. Every time some news comes out, we think, okay, now it is going down, because we do not understand its underlying technology and we are not that confident. We take some 100 rupees or 1 lakh for a 10 lakh profit and we leave that boat, right? And when it actually becomes a rocket, we are not on that rocket because we don't know, right? So we have already taken our profits and we have left that boat, right? Like this. So same thing happened to me as well. Though I'm in the boat for these many years, this thing happened to us, right? So we think that it is going to collapse. It may collapse. It is virtual record. I'll give you one simple example. Shakti.io is our website, right? This domain is so valuable today. I bought it for 1 lakh and 1200 rupees. I mean, 12,000 rupees. So you will say, isn't it a hype? It is not, because there is a competition. It has a value record. If you look at this, right? So how many people want to buy it and what price, right? So that drives, though it's a single record on a computer, it is a domain name. It is unique. You only own it, right? Nobody else can own that particular domain name, and that's why it is a value. You will see the domain names in crores. I'll bet, right? So you will see 50 lakhs, 25 lakhs. Someone bought that domain. So highly, high level domains. Just an example I'm giving. I'm not asking you to go and do that business at all, because we don't know, right? What domain, what all those things. This is how just a record on a computer and blockchain, that is so valuable, because in the internet, everyone, see, as long as someone else is want to accept it. I was really shocked, right? So when this Bitmain, I did try this Bitmain in 2016, and they selling their computers. These are the ASIC computers, right? So I said mining, right? So this is the terahash. It generates per second, right? Look at this hash rate, right? And $12,000 is a price today, right? So how much it is, and you can buy that computer online without involving any bank or anything like that. So that's how we need to understand, and that's why I just wanted to give my opinion about. Again, it's risky. Again, that's why we are talking about only 2 coins, right? What happens is, people understand about Bitcoin, people understand about Ethereum, and they go buy some other coins which are cheaper, right? They go buy something else and they tomorrow fall down to 0 or $1. Then they start crying, okay, Balaji suggested to buy something and it has gone to 0, because these are new and they can be manipulated, right? If someone is sitting with $1 lakh, he can manipulate the price, because the overall capitalization, right? Overall usage, who is using it, right? So how many ethers are available, how many circulating supply, what is the market cap of it, that all matters in the manipulation. Our protocol come into picture, right? So to avoid the manipulations again, right? So these all numbers we cannot study in detail, and we do not know if it has, okay, let's say some coin has a very small market capitalization, right? Like, look at this, 3 lakhs or something. So anybody sitting with a $1 billion, or he can manipulate, he can suddenly buy, suddenly sell, or like that, right? So don't just fall into that trap. But here, though these are very high value, these are the worthy. This, if you stick to these 2 coins only, I bet you in 3 years you will see 10x gains or something around that. Yeah. Go ahead. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll go to the next slide. Is that answers your question? I mean, some
partially, yeah.
partially,
Yes, sorry,
right, yeah.
partially, Balaji.
Exactly.
If I may ask one more question, probably the last one. I won't take much time.
Yep.
And this is regarding value only because I'm really not very convinced and not very sure about this valuation part. So this valuation is more because of the lot of pumping of money in the market, or is it because real value of the business? I mean, I just want to understand a real answer, whether it is because of the pumping of money, which is being too much. Everyone is investing in it, and like it happens in share market, when a lot of money is going in the market is going up, and when people are taking their money out, it's going down. So that way, in that fashion only, it is going up, or there is really some underlying concrete value in it.
Definitely. Right question, right? So what do you mean by real value? That we need to understand first, right?
Yeah, so real value, but
I'm
what
not
I mean
asking
is
you.
that,
Just hold
oh,
on.
sorry.
I'm telling you, like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
people understand about
because
real
yeah,
value.
this is just one extension. I think other people would also be able to relate it better. Like we do in our RBI, whenever we print some notes, we put some gold in the bank, and then only equivalent amount of money is printed. So
Correct.
there is a balance in it. I don't see that kind of balance being put here, or any mechanism of that sort which can tell me that how much value it has and how much fake or the unreal appreciation it has.
True. So I'll tell you, like, first thing we need to understand is the real value. Second thing, I said demand and supply. Third thing you asked is what, like you put a gold and then you print a money, right? Note. So there is equivalent something, right, which can derive the value of that note. So here, when you are actually mining, right, mining a Bitcoin is a very intensive process. I said it needs a lot of energy, a lot of competition power. So competition power worth that money, right, you are putting into the system, because this is all about the technology. It's all about calculations, right, mathematics, right, solving puzzles, right. So you are putting your money into solving that puzzle and you are getting rewarded for it. So that is the basic of it. And then it is accepted widely that this particular Bitcoin has 40 lakhs value today. Pumping can happen to the lower value assets, I'm telling you. So which has a very lower asset. If there is a market cap of $1 trillion and 40 lakhs per Bitcoin, 18 millions is the supply. Can you pump it, or can I pump it? Can easily anyone pump it? No, because it is already such a big, huge thing, right? Nobody can pump it. They can pump to the lower value assets. If the market, the value is 1 rupees and 100 crore or 1 crore maximum capitalization, any person sitting with 10 lakhs rupees or 100 or 1 lakh, 1 crore rupees can pump and dump that, right? So that happens in other lower market caps, but other market caps, right? So higher, that's what I said, the Ethereum and the Bitcoin, right? These are two things. We'll come to the Ethereum, we'll understand the differences, and then I think things will be more clearer. I think so, right? So am I able to answer your question to some extent? I mean,
Yeah, this is giving clarity, but still no, not completely. I think as and when we go ahead, I'll get more
Correct,
answers.
correct, correct.
But
So,
thanks
like
for your
Balaji,
answer and clarification, Balaji.
So thing is like speculations, right? And you will be spectacle unless you understand what is driving, unless you get into it, unless you understand, okay, what is driving. You can buy something on the internet from this Bitcoin, right? Those businesses are accepting it widely. And if you look at the country, the EI Salvador, right? If you look at their country's model, they have made the Bitcoin as a legal tender. You can go and buy anything in that country using Bitcoin. If you look at the Japan's model, they have allowed the airlines to accept the Bitcoin, right? So this is the future of the money, and it will, to get you into the confidence, you will need to start using it. And if someone accept it, that record on the blockchain as a value, right, then you will understand it as a value, right? Again, it's a demand and supply. I said, right, more people use it, it has more value. There is nothing else like gold, you said, right? It is the underlying asset, right? The asset is only, what I said is earlier, it was easy to mine. right? Easy to solve that puzzle and come up with the hash of the block was easy. You can do with the computer, and the values were lower. As the difficulty level of the network is increasing, right, day by day, and more people using it, supply is lower than demand, then ultimately this value is driving. Yep, go ahead.
So Balaji, you have experience in mining, okay? So can you please help like elaborating in like 2 or 3 minutes so that we will get a better idea? Because like you are mentioning that mining is driving the value, okay, at some extent. So can you please
True.
get that?
Sure. So look at this computer, let's say Bitmain, right? So this is S9XP, right? So I'm not able to get the details of it, but what happens is this must be somewhere around 1600 watt per hour power consumption, and it might be generating some $20 or $30, $50 a day, right? So look at the power consumption. So those countries where we have, hold on, miners, right? So okay, yeah, this one. Look at the power consumption, the problem solving, right? So when you are solving a problem, and how much effort, how much energy, right, you need. Look at this specifications. Okay, let me show you quickly where is the specification for this computer. Okay, here we go, right? So voltage is required and the watts we are interested in, right? So how much watt energy it needs, and it runs 24/7, then it generates that particular okay, so wattage I'm not able to find, but the thing is let's say if you put this computer running 24/7, it consumes a power of, let's say, $15. I'm just giving you a rough idea, right? So it is not the exact, because this is a very high-end top end. Now I was using the S9, right? So it's 19J now, right? The power which I was using was 13 terahash, 13.5 terahash per second, right? And it was generating $20 a day, and it was consuming around $20 energy per day. So we left that mining, right? Because we understood we will not be able to do it unless we have the cheap power, cold environment, because this gets heated. Look at the fans, right? These machines get heated like your heater. So in our environment, it is not possible to do mining, because heating and the cooling, if you keep uh, this machine hot, it will burn off, right? So you have to put a AC in the room, and that is additional cost, right? So just doing a mining and creating Bitcoins for $20 a day, takes a $20 energy to just solve that problem for worth $20. You cannot do it alone, but what you do is you put your machine into a pool. So there are many pools available worldwide. You can just connect to, just put that URL into it, and it just says, okay, for this much hash, I'll give you this much money, like that, right? And they consolidate all the problem and their solutions, and they just find a block like that, right? So they share work. In the sharing, we do mining. Individually, it's not possible at this point. So you understood, right? The infrastructure and the energy required for again, the machine's cost, its value, right? And the electricity required, cooling mechanism required for it, right? So other countries where they have cold and ice cold environments, they put their machines. So mostly China does this because they have the hydropowers plants. So mostly Chinese people do this Bitmain is from China, right? So they have a lot of access to the power and cold environment, so they put their machines and earn money from it, right? So like that, I'm saying it is not profitable in India. Why I'm saying profitable? Though the Bitcoin is 40 lakhs, I cannot make profit from this machine because it consumes so much energy, and that underlying consumption of the energy, you cannot say it's energy consumption, because what is the technology behind it? Solving a problem, mathematical problem, right? I gave you a example of this demo. You have to go and mine, right? So you have to find a block which is trailing certain 100 zeros trailing, right, or 10 zeros trailing. So that blockchain has certain rules based on how many people are participating into it, right? So current hash rate of the blockchain, how many people are already there, how many problems you are able to solve, how many blocks you are able to find after every 10 minutes, right? And the difficulty level adjust every 2 weeks or 15 days, we can say, right? If you see many people have come into the play and you are able to find the block even before 10 minutes in 1 minute or two, what the network does is it increases the value of the difficulty, right? The difficulty means, you see, I'll say, okay, now rule has changed and I want the 6 zeros in the trailing, like that. So some rules I'm just setting, but network has its own rule, and that makes it again very difficult. If I say find me a hash with this data and you go mine it, right, it will take forever for a simple computer to find a hash, even though it's a simple formula, right? So that SHA-256 algorithm, you will not be able to even find the hash of that block using such a small computers, right, like that. So it's a CPU intensive process mainly, right? So is that answering your question to some extent, Kiran? The value of, like gold, right? If you're digging gold, you're mining gold, what you do is you use your cranes, you use your crushers, you use your washers, and then after that, when your gold comes into for selling, let's say 50,000 rupees per tola, 10 grams, right? And now how much you paid, how much you spent on mining it, that drives the value. If the gold mining becomes very difficult and there is a supply shortage, definitely value will go up because market demand, right? And it's a global market. It is stable as of now because we know there is a supply and demand, demand. It is not going 10x or 100x because there is a lot of supply coming in, right? You don't know. And it is, if you believe me, right, so Bitcoin is better than gold in many terms. First thing is its definite supply, like 21 million will ever exist, right? First thing. And second thing, it is transferable across, it can be transferred anywhere, and you can just, storing is simple, easy, right? It's just a 12-word keyword. You have to keep that safe and secret, and then you are the owner of that particular record, right? And but vice versa, if you look at the gold, it's a physical asset. You cannot transfer it to US in 10 seconds or so, like that. And mining, we don't know how much gold is under the earth, and tomorrow if they come up with some 100 tons, it is suddenly the market will go and crash like that, right? But still, extracting that 100 tons, how much it is going to cost, that will also drive the price. So how much, you are creating lemons, Kiran, let's say, right? So what is driving the price is, first is how much you're spending, creating those or growing those, and how what is the market, this both things, right? So supply, demand, and what is the cost of creation of it, that drives the price of the Bitcoin and any other asset in the market.
Perfect.
Okay, let's go to the next slide because we have a lot of not much, but yeah, the Ethereum I just wanted to explain about, right? That is beautiful, more beautiful than Bitcoin. Okay. Should we move on, Kiran?
Unfortunately, your voice is breaking actually.
Okay, let me see.
मोहन ऍक्च्युली ना तुझा आवाज ब्रेक.
हा आला लक्षात माझ्या, तुझाच आवाज मला ब्रेक येतोय ना आता. ठीक आहे का? म्हणजे आय डोंट नो वेदर देयर इज अ प्रॉब्लेम विथ द इंटरनेट, बट
नो युअर व्हॉइस इज मोहनची क्लॅरिटी थोडी कमी, हे कमी आहे, नेटवर्क कमी आहे.
बरं असू दे. इतरांना माझा आवाज येतोय का? म्हणजे संदीप?
हा येतोय. Mohan, can you type here in this chat window because we are not able to hear you.
नाही मी बोलत नाहीये. मी आता संदीपला विचारलं की त्याला काय माझा आवाज येतोय का? संदीप?
Yes, I can hear.
हा किरण, मला वाटतं तुझ्या साईडलाच प्रॉब्लेम आहे. ठीक आहे. I'll continue. So let's talk about the Ethereum, right? So what makes the Ethereum again smarter than Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is just another record having been transferred for the exchanging of the value, right? So now what is an Ethereum? Ethereum is another blockchain, right? It just uses another algorithm, KK 256, another hashing algorithm. But thing is the smart contracts, right? These smart contracts makes Ethereum more powerful than Bitcoin. Now, let's not talk about the value transition, value transfer. Let's talk about creating some own applications on top of the blockchain, right? Smart contracts is one of the way, right, where you can develop your own decentralized applications or issue your own tokens, like this Shaktiio token is on the Ethereum contract, right? Ethereum blockchain. And if you are from a technical computer background, you will understand, like we have C, C++ languages, right? The Solidity is a language used to write the smart contract. I'll show you in a while what is a smart contract, how it look like, right? It is a simple kind of JavaScript, but yeah, looks like a JavaScript, but it has own syntaxes, right? And you can develop your own blockchain on Ethereum blockchain, and you can issue your own coins, you can write your own smart contract. It is very powerful again, right? So that is the only thing. It has additional smart contracts functionality, which is not in the Bitcoin, right? So to understand that, we'll go over the, we'll go over the details of, hold on, this, I think. Okay, can you see this now, right? So features, right? Bitcoin's symbol is BTC and Ethereum has ETH, right? Cryptography, it is using SHA, secure hash 256 algorithm. KKAK is another algorithm. SHA-3, it is being, sometime it called, they call it as SHA-3 as well. Invention, when it was in 2008, this Bitcoin was invented by Satoshi Nakamoto. And 2013, Vitalin Buterin. So this guy is a co-founder of the Ethereum Foundation, and he created this Ethereum, right? So the total supply, right? So 21 million Bitcoins will ever exist. That's the hard cap coded already on the blockchain. Ethereum does not have a hard cap. It generates 2 coins per 12 seconds. But now it has upgraded to burn the fees, like whatever the fees we pay, it just burns it. Burning means sending to some black hole, will never be, nobody will else be able to use it. So that will reduce the supply of the coins, right? So Ethereum. So this is getting powerful because of certain features I'll explain. First of all, we'll walk through the differences. Then smart contracts, right? Bitcoin has no ability to develop side chains or develop your smart contracts. You cannot code on yourself, right? And create your own applications from the Bitcoin network. But on Ethereum network, you can deploy your own smart contracts on Ethereum, make use of that, and make use of for your businesses, right? So there are many decentralized applications. Like decentralized means the database is on the blockchain, something like that, right? So you don't have, nobody owns it, but your blockchain has the database and applications are running on top of it, like that. So block timing, right? So it finds a block every 10 minutes. So what is a block is when you submitted a transaction on a blockchain, it has to be verified and included in a block saying, okay, this is stamped, right? This is signature is verified and everything is, looks good. To say that it takes 10 minutes because it has a, difficulty set in such a way that miners will be able to find that in exactly 10 minutes or around that, right? But Ethereum is faster than that. It finds a block in 12 seconds is what. So that makes the Ethereum transaction commitment, right? So it commits the transaction on the blockchain in 12 seconds, right? And the mining, as I said, right, proof of work. You find an hash with which will comply with the blockchain rules, and that is your proof of work. You did a work, right? Because we know how difficult it is to find that particular hash, and that you get a rewarded, right? So mining, it uses proof of work algorithm. Currently, the Ethereum is on proof of work. So a lot of miners put their machines running, right? You use your GPU as a mining machine. They load some softwares and the GPU kits, right? So the GPU cards they use. Sometimes they have the dedicated softwares and the hardware, right? So for that, the ASIC software, they call it as application specific integrated circuits, right? I showed you one example in the bitmain.com, right? So that is just a block and a lot of chips are integrated together. A lot of heat sinks are put on the chips and that makes the whole machine, right? That is proof of work. And proof of stake is will not consume the energy, but it will allow you to make sure validate the block or find the hash based on how much stake you have in the blockchain, right? So staking is something you hold 10 bitcoins on that particular pool or for validation, right? Then it says, okay, you are worthy, right? Nobody else can go and find a block, but yeah, you are worthy and you have your stake into the Ethereum. So okay, go and validate it, right? So these people will compete for the staking as well. And this end of this December or next Jan, Ethereum is going from proof of work to proof of stake. So what will change is the energy consumption, right? Though the algorithm will be same, everything will be same, but the energy consumption will drastically reduce in Ethereum. It will be like simply, I just showed you on the screen, right? Putting a mine button, and who can do that mine is what it is going to dictate. Like whoever is taking more of its Ethereum coins on the network, and more people can take part into that particular mining process using the proof of work. So that makes it very beautiful again, right? So this is the difference. Okay, that's all about the Ethereum. That makes me more appealing because I can code, I can develop my software on the Ethereum blockchain, and I don't have to do it from the scratch, right? I don't have to go and create nodes, bring people to come to know that this is my blockchain, use it, right? Like that. So Ethereum is already built, it is up and running. Many people can participate and write their smart contracts, and they'll be able to get this thing done. Okay, Ethereum blockchain, we looked at the differences, and Ethereum wins the, for me, Ethereum is more powerful. I mean, getting more powerful than Bitcoin. Bitcoin has advantage of first comer, right? So nobody knows who created it at all. And Ethereum has some base to it, right? And it is kind of improving. So if you are a technical person or if you are a developer, your choice will be Ethereum, right? And many people will prefer BTC because this was the first, and this has a very good base, right? So how the base is defined is how many miners are participating, what is the hash rate, right? All those things matters, because if the only 2 miners are competing, they can cheat to the system, right? They can say, okay, let's do this. They can agree to their terms and conditions to temper the system, and they can cheat it. But if there are 1 crore miners across the globe putting their small machines into the network and trying to solve the problem, right? 2 miners or 3 miners or group of miners cannot compete, or they cannot cheat the system, right? So they have to rely on the global decision making or the witness, right? So that is why the Bitcoin is more preferred in terms of cryptocurrency, right? But as a smart contracts and other functionalities come into picture, Ethereum is the second most and the second largest cap wise and the popularity wise, right? Ethereum wins the hearts of the blockchain developers and all those. We can code it, right, ourselves. I'll show you how the tokens are created, right? Just go one step back to Shaktiio token, right? So okay, this is the token. Like if you go, this is the Etherscan is just another wrapper. It's a website which reads the data from the blockchain. It has nothing to do with the Ethereum. It is just another software which actually reads the data. Like there are so many. If you go to the block explorer and say, just give me the data from Ethereum blockchain, right? And if you put this address of our contract there, it will be able to show some data, right? So it may not be read the token information, but yes, so how many transactions happened on that and all those things. It is just a mechanism, a wrapper on the which reads that public database, right? You got it, right? So token, right? So when we write a contract and when we deploy, it has some like syntaxes, right? So what will be called a token on the blockchain will have some syntax. It has its own name and the symbol, right? Like we have the Shaktiio token created here. What will be the supply, max supply, and all those, right? So you can go ahead and look at other methods available on the contract that we developed ourselves, right? You can burn, you can mint. Minting is a process similar to mining, right? If I want to increase the supply up to some hard cap extent, right? The minting is a process similar to mining. Mining is when you have your own blockchain and you are adding supply using that mining process, right? And you have allowed everyone to take a part into it, right? So minting is not that way. Minting is the owners only can mint it, or up to the coder, right? How you have coded the smart contract. So basically, I'll show you the smart contract code quickly on the blockchain. When you actually verify the code, right, it creates its bytes code and deploy it on the blockchain. But yeah, so this particular Etherscan is able to read the code, right? So this is the code. You can go and check, right? So here I just wanted to make sure that you read this line, right? So author, it's me, and we have put the signature just to identify ourselves. What will be the max supply, or how it is going to behave within 3 years, or when we actually mint it, right? So all these things we can code and put on a blockchain, right? So just wanted to show you, like it is programmable blockchain, right? So it is a developer's choice. We as a developer, we can code our tokens, we can code our decentralized applications. Let's say tomorrow you want to create a chat application without having a database, right? Now WhatsApp we cannot trust, Signal we cannot trust, because they have central database, and they they can sell your messages, or they can find your interest, or like that. They can do anything with the data, right? With your data, they can sell it to the government or like that, right? But there is another application called Session, right? Session is a decentralized chat application. Nothing is stored locally. Nobody owns the data. It is the data is stored on the blockchain itself. So there are so many applications, but this is one of the I know as so far, right? So is that looks good? I mean, so far, Kiran. Then we'll go ahead to the Shaktiio, or maybe we will skip it.
So just now you can give high level overview of Shaktiio Balaji, because now we are like quite understood the Bitcoin, Ethereum, then mining, all the concepts.
Right.
If you give the overview, just high level, I think it will work.
Yep. So the Shaktiio is another token, we can say, based on the Ether, right? We are on the Ethereum ecosystem, right? So people can create their own tokens and define their business process and what will be the use of that token, how the businesses will develop, right? So like that, I said, we are on Ethereum blockchain and we created this token, and underlying business will be the the anti-liquidation protocol, right? So many things are there. So whoever is new to the cryptocurrency, and they may not understand, but if someone is already doing trading or like that, right? So if you own a Bitcoin, let's say, there are certain central financial organizations, right, such as Nexo and some other organizations, they can give you a loan. Now gold, you will compare to the gold, you take a gold and go to the bank, they will give you some 60%, 50% loan on it, right? So similar thing, which is very new to the new people, those even trying to understand like whether to invest or not. But if I ask you, if I say you can get the loan on your Bitcoin, then you will wonder like how, right? So there are some organizations where you put your Bitcoin, let's say 10 lakh rupees Bitcoin you put with them, they will give you 5 lakh rupees as a loan in a fiat currency, right? You take 5 lakh rupees in your bank account and use that and pay a certain amount of interest, like 6%, 12%. There are slabs, right? If you're holding their tokens, they give some discount and all that, right? So it is super easy to get a loan. Even gold loan is difficult to get. If you go to the bank, they will verify and all those documentation, right? Here you put the Bitcoin with them, but yeah, you just make sure that the whom you're putting the Bitcoin with, right, they are trustworthy. But the problem, what happens is, this market is so speculative and you know volatile. Sometimes the values goes down and down, right? Like I said, pump and dump happens. Definitely pump and dump happens, but why? What happens is, these people sitting on the top, this generally in terms of this market, they call it as a whale, right? So whales sitting with $1 billion of amount, right, with them. So what they do is they start dumping right on the top, and the traders in between get panic and start selling. And then this loan giver, right, so borrower and the lender, mostly I'll say the lender, centralized finance systems, right, they see, oh, the values are going down. So what they do is, as soon as it reaches to that particular threshold, right, let's say your value of the Bitcoin was 10 lakh rupees, and now you took a 5 lakh rupees loan, and as soon as the value comes down to the 5 lakh or 6 lakh, they start selling your Bitcoins, right? And you lose the asset, right? You use that 5 lakh rupees for some other personal purpose. You cannot just put it back into the system and maintain that LTV, right? So loan to value ratio is one of the factor that drives the liquidation or not to liquidate things, right? Because there is no other guarantee for gold loans. It is not possible to bring the value 50% down, right? That is the advantage these whales take, right? So they start selling and they pick up at the bottom again, right? And what happens is, the common person who don't know much about the market, they lose their assets because you took some loan and you sold your assets like half of the price, right? And you lost the ownership of that asset. So that is the problem we wanted to solve using our anti-liquidation protocol. We are planning to tie up with our with these centralized finance systems, right, where, right, so where these guys, right, so sell out your assets. So we'll say, as long as he's tied up with us, certain amount of premium or certain amount of fees you have to pay, definitely, right? If you look at the details, you need to read this. A lot of things are there, a lot of calculations and proper calculations are there. So I'll show you one, just to just understand like what Shaktiio is trying to do, right? Graphics, ordered, and animation, right? So I'll just play MP4, or just maybe MP4, right? So let's say you are a Bitcoin holder, right? You took some loan, and now L1 is when it was at this peak, you took a L1 loan, right? So 50% of your assets value, and market, what happens is market goes down suddenly, right? And then the Shaktio's role is to save you when there is a condition when your assets may get liquidated, right? So it's not a kind of insurance, but it's a kind of guarantee to the lender. So what we will say is, don't liquidate this person's assets, because he will lose the ownership of it, right? And once it comes without this Shaktiio, you will lose your assets right here, right? You will get out of the market right here. And with Shaktio's protocol implementation, right? So it will not let your assets go right here. I mean, get the assets sold out like this, right? In the similar way, you got to the top, again the value of your assets gone, let's say it has gone to 20 lakhs rupees, and you took another loan which is 10 lakh rupees, let's say, right, and used it for your purpose. So you can make use of your Bitcoins as much as possible. You are holding it. If it goes to 1 crore rupees tomorrow, or in a day, in a 5 years time or 10 years time, right, you will still be holding the Bitcoin ownership and making use of it. You can take loan, use it for your personal use. With Shaktio's protection, with Shaktio's protocol implementation, we work with the lenders and make sure that your assets will never ever be get liquidated unless you give up on it, right? Because you have to look at the, this energy level, right? So this energy is a Shaktiio token. You have to add some tokens to your wallet. So some energy will be consumed, but it will not, you cannot get out of the market. It will not be like that, right? So this is just a concept to show you, make you understand. Okay, so this is the Shaktiio protocol. It has a lot of details about how we are going to work with the lenders, how the things are going to, and what are the figures, right? And overall, everything is mentioned in this document. It is available on our website, right? And a lot of diagrams, a lot of this is the 1 billion is the total supply, right? Launch date is 2nd Feb 2022, and investors protection is our first priority. We have created a model in such a way investor will always be in profit, like that, right? So that's how our model. And at the time of enrollment, we make sure that your LTV is not more than 50%, right? So loan to value, the risk factor we say, and how the premiums are being calculated, right? So that all is mentioned here. What are our risk mitigation strategies, right? There are risks, right? If someone takes a loan and when the value of it is 25%, let's say 10 lakh rupees come down to 250,000, right? 2,50,000. Then it's a 75% loss. For us, it is a 2.5 lakh rupees loss, right? So we make sure how to handle that kind of situation with using our protocol, right? Protocol in terms of how the mechanism, the overall mechanism is going to work, how the claims be handled, right? How the enrollments be handled in the system, how you can pay the daily premiums, right? Using this protocol, like that, right? So when at the time of enrollment, you just request a quote, we are kind of working as a backbone with the SAFE, right? So centralized finance systems, I said, there are Nexo, there are Celsius and many others, right? Who are into this business, and they just take your Bitcoin and give you a loan, but they liquidate at certain point in time, like if market is going down, right? So Shaktiio will play an important role as a backbone to their system, right? So that's all I have to say about the anti-liquidation protocol. Risk mitigation strategies, we have done a very thorough analysis of how the things will be how the things will work, and how the everyone in the system will get benefit, right? So all these things are studied. And experienced team, so we have this team, the Kiran sir, but rest of the guys are also the part of the project, right, to start with. And investor protection is a priority. Like if you invested something with us, we will back your investment all the time with the Ethereum reserve, right? So because let's say you bought token worth 30,000 rupees at this point, right? So immediately we will go and buy Ethereum for that 30,000 rupees and issue the token, right? So Shaktiio token will issue you use it for your exchange purpose, or you sell it, whatever you want to do. But let's say if the value of the Shaktiio token doesn't come up, or doesn't even compete with the Ether's value, then the protection is we have backing, 100% backing of your token with the Ethereum. So always your tokens, right, whatever the tokens we sell, 560 million token sale is what we are targeting for, right? So it will be backed by Ethereum all the time, and after 3 years you can claim that Ethereum, give us our token back, we'll give you the Ethereum. Let's say today's 30,000 Ethereum is 3 lakh after 3 years, let's say, right? So based on my experience, I'm saying 10x profit or 5x or whatever is, right? Or if the value of the Ethereum is 3 lakh and value of the R token is 2 lakh, let's say, I mean the sum of token we give, right? So 1 Ether equal to 22,000 Shaktios, right? So this is what the formula, we give the tokens, right? So proportionally, then we said you are protected because we will give the Ethers back to you if you want to claim it. And if not, if the value of the Shaktiio token is, let's say, 4 lakhs rupees, just keep the tokens or sell out the tokens and make money out of it, right? So you have both the ways one is a fixed guaranteed way, at least you will earn whatever the Ethereum's value, or you will earn whatever the SKTO's value. So both mechanisms we have developed, and there are a lot of things to talk about is like FAQs, right? So you guys have all the frequently asked questions, the killer questions we say, mainly because mostly you ask about whether my investment is safe, not, right, like that. And what if I want to claim that, see, look at this problem. What are you going to use the ICO funds for? Let's say we bought the Ethereum for you and kept it with us. How you are going to run the project, right? So there are certain institutions where you put your Ethereums and get the interest part out of it, right? So a lot of things people don't know about it. So we will make use of your Ethereum's interest for the project development and hold your Ethereum securely in a hardware wallet or with the lenders, right? So like that, we will develop our project. We'll make sure within 3 years, right? We'll make sure that project is full-fledged working, and our business, underlying business of protection, right, will grow, because as many people know about, we can get the loan on the Bitcoin, right? They will, and again, it is risky because it gets liquidated when the market goes down. So we will give the protection, and that's how the value of our token, SKTO token, will drive. Because in the ecosystem, for the premium payment, salary payment, everything else, right, only the token will be used is SKTO, right? Even the claims reserve, let's say someone gave up and we have to settle with the lender, so we have the SKTO reserve. 90 million is the SKTO tokens reserved for the claim settlement, if just in case. So, and the 100 million funds, right, will not touch it ever. That's what our promise is. Because if you want to take it back after 3 years, we are good, right? Ethereum. And after 3 years, once we set everything right in place, if our value of the token is appreciated above this, right, if the value of this is going up, right, in terms of dollar or rupees, you will not you don't have to come back to us and ask for the claim, right? So refund of the your Ethereum. So whatever is your $30,000, let's say, to start with, we'll convert that into the Ether, collect all the Ethers and put it on some exchange, not exchange, but with the lenders. And whatever the interest we earn, that interest part we'll use as a project development, and token will be driven its own value based on our business model that I just showed you, right? So a lot of things to talk about in detail, and the next session maybe we'll have a very detailed session and go through each and every problem and its solution. Kiran sir, to you now. I think we
Yes.
are done almost.
Correct.
Okay, just one more note I just wanted to add to everyone, right? So you'll circulate this PDF. I'll create a fresh PDF, Kiran, and I'll give it to you, right? And again, you can circulate among your guys, and along with the video of this session, right, I'll put it on some drive or just give it to you. Okay, so best thing to follow our thing is Twitter, right? Mostly we are active on Twitter, and whatever the project developments we try to put there. White paper links is also given here if anybody want to really go into the detail of the project and see what are we trying to do, right? And if you have any questions, just drop an email on ico@shakti.io, right? And many other links like Telegram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Connect through any channel, and we'll be able to sort out your issues, if any, right? Any questions, we can go through and have a detailed discussion on it. Kiran, do you have any questions?
No, Balaji, I think we are good with the session. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for your valuable time, and thanks for explaining such a difficult and complex concept, okay, in detailed manner, and like in a easiest manner, I think I can say. Okay, so thank you so much for your time. Okay, and hopefully, okay, like once that date come nearer, then we will keep one more session, okay, just related to Shaktiio, so that all will get the detailed idea, okay, and how we can gain the earning from the same. Okay. So
Exactly.
thanks everyone. Thanks for joining
Thank
this
you everyone for
session.
your time. Just try to be with the time, because what happens is
Thank you. Bye bye.
okay, go ahead, Sudhir.
No, no, I think yes, yes. Devas is has just said bye bye.
Okay, so what I was saying was, just don't get into those speculations like whether government will allow, disallow, what will happen to my savings, right? It is not a bubble, that is for sure. First thing, it has a definite future, because many institutions, right, there are many institutions in US and across the globe, they are investing, right? The El Salvador is full-fledged, the country itself is going with the Bitcoin, Japan is along with the cryptocurrencies, right? So it is very powerful concept, right? If you understand in detail, it has a value because everyone agrees to that value, right? Because of its beautiful features I told you all across, right? I don't want anyone to say tomorrow that okay, it has gone up in that way and we are not benefited out of it, right? So that should not be the case. I have been explaining this to everyone, but people are speculative. Okay, what will happen if this happens or not, like that? So at least the technical people should read about its underlying technology. That's why we showed like how the blockchain is secured, temper proof and all those things, and get the benefits out of it, right? So that's the main intention of this education, right? So main, you invest it, not invest it, the Shaktiio, that's not a problem, right? We are competing the global market. We are not just on the Indian market, but our plan is to compete globally, and those people understand it, they will understand the potential of the project and what problem we are trying to solve, right? And as having a very experienced team, it is high likely to succeed. Definitely I am sitting 24/7 on this project, and we'll make it success. That's our challenge ourselves, right? Because heavily we are invested into it, and we have chosen the best platform, right? So Ethereum and all the, there are so many other smart contracts development platform, but we have chosen the best platform to deal with this particular problem. So yeah, so just try, give it a shot everywhere, right? At least start with something to understand. And definitely this is the asset class. If you ask me, if you ask my opinion, this is the asset class you need to be very careful about, right? Because it's internet thing, and if you make a mistake, if you lose your keys, anybody can go and take your funds, right? That's where the responsibility comes with the power, right? So that's powerful, but again it's responsible, and I don't want everyone else to make mistakes that we made in the past, right? We try some money to transfer from here and there, and we lose some time, because on the internet, if you want to buy things with the bitcoins, there are many scammers all around the world, right? And there are, I mean, once it is transferred, neither government can track whom you transferred the money, nor you yourself can track and get a hold of that person, right? If you spend crores or something like that, there is no possibility of getting the hold of that person, right? So scammers are all across the this particular marketplace. But the thing is, you have the control of your wallet. You don't lose that control for any reason, right? So what the scammers do is they make you lose your control. They make you disclose your keys, right? Keys or the passwords or OTPs, and then they hack your particular wallet like that. Otherwise it is foolproof as long as you are safe and secure. There is also a concept of hardware wallet, right? I have one with me, Trezor. If you go and find Trezor about, right? So that stores the key. So when you are putting to some website, that's also a vulnerable to your data, right? So website can steal your data, and they can look into your assets, right? But this is very high level. To start with, everyone, what they can do is they can go on to exchange, see like what is it, right? Start with something, but don't buy anything else. What I said is Bitcoin, Ethereum, these are the two things. Even if you buy 100 rupees, 200 rupees, 500 rupees, right? To start with, and understand, okay, the values are going up, down, hold it for a long period of time, like 3 years or so. You will see definitely in middle somewhere, you will see very high gains, but don't sell it out. That's where you make a mistake and get out of the market, right? So this is put it for a long term and just wait and watch what happens to that. And this is my personal experience and confidence about the technology that I have seen from the 2016, right? So I was in US for 3 years, but I never come across this situation or this concept, right? In 2012, I would have been somewhere else at otherwise, right? That's why I'm saying you start with as soon as possible, and it is never late, right? You start now, you look at the 5 years down the line, right? You don't look at the today's prices. If you look at the today's prices, you will see it as a bubble, definitely, right? Because, and after 10 years, you will realize, okay, I should have started at that point because it was good, right? The things are gone out of our hand now. Always you will feel that, but yeah, you start somewhere and you will definitely look for the better future. And yeah, I see it's going to be $1 million per Bitcoin in years come, right? That I think we are good for now, Kiran, and thank you
Yes,
everyone
Balaji.
for listening. And thank you for joining this session. Yeah, we have good pull here. Thank you. I think we can close
Thank you.
out the
Thanks,
session.
Balaji. Thank you, Kiran. Thanks, everyone.
Guys.
Yeah. Thanks, Vishesh. Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.